Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review Luck. So I gotta say, at the beginning of this film, I like how they're kind of playing around with the main character, with Sam, who is to have this gimmick of her having very bad luck. I kind of like how they played around with that, but then eventually, all of a sudden, once this character comes into finally having a chance to have good luck for once, all of a sudden Sam is to then be like teleported to this underworld of the Land of the Luck, and is to be surrounded by leprechauns and talking cats and dragons and unicorns, and it gets very weird and very wild, to where we come to find out that all the bad luck in the world is to be the responsibility of roots and goblins. And I'm like, okay, this is very bizarre. Like, I thought the whole story was going to be that this girl was to eventually have this, like, bad luck thing, and then her luck was to turn, and then everything was going to be eventually this happy ending thing. But no, we end up having to go on into this, like this kind of Wizard of Oz kind of journey for our character, and it just gets really weird and bizarre. But I guess that's what a kid movie is to try to be nowadays. It's just to be like, hey, let's throw all this stuff in there and just kind of eventually figure out a way to end this. As the moral of the story is, Sam, at some point, is to go on to really want to try and avoid all of her bad luck. But then all of a sudden, she realizes that all of the bad luck at the end of the story was something that she never regretted having, and that she's happy she had gotten all that bad luck, because maybe that was to eventually have all of her good luck to go to other people who needed it. In this situation, this kind of moral story, this kind of spin of things, because there is a lot of people who are to go on and have an amazing amount of bad luck consistently, and then there's also certain people that have always good luck, as if nothing could go horribly wrong for them. And we have like a number of these kind of Irish or St. Patrick's Day kind of movies that have this kind of theme. I think it's kind of bizarre that we go on and have this movie being put out in August, but I guess like they just needed to put this out somewhere. And so like there must just been a company that's just banging out films, and it's like, okay, like we can't exactly put this movie out in March, so let's just put it out now. So teeing it up, I almost kind of really teed up this movie in the way of which that I had talked. So currently, where is this movie available? It's available on Apple Plus. There actually is some decent movies and decent shows within Apple Plus. There, of course, would be the one Tom Hanks robot movie that I think is called like Finch or something, that is still on Apple Plus. Go ahead and check that out there. That actually is a really good story. The Jason Momoa show C is on Apple Plus, so go ahead and check that out there also, as well as there being the show called Invasion, which has the first season up, which I ended up going and seeing. So if you want to also go on to find a bootlegish free way to say that you can see this movie, so eventually you can just kind of show this to your kids, so that way you can go on and just kind of do something else, because that might be a possible thing. I have a number of apps that you can possibly go on to go and find this movie, be able to play it, and be able to see it for absolutely free without going into some kind of subscription-like app. So with that said, going on, where can you go and find these things? So you can go into a Google search and search the word C Movies app, so letter C Movies app. you can go on and hopefully go through a Google search, find this app, download it, be able to find out that is to now be Yes Movies, download that, and be able to say that you can go on and see Luck as well as a number of movies for absolutely free. The next app would, of course, be Fox HD Movies. You can go on to find that the logo says Fox HD Movies, but the title says something different. I'll say Play 1080p HD Movies. There also is technically through the Google Play Store. If you kind of search long enough for like Yes Movies or eventually certain things within the Google Play Store, eventually you'll find equivalents of these apps, meaning that you'll go on and find apps that are fairly similar to the ones that I'm mentioning here. It's like you basically just kind of have to go and download a certain number of apps. So you can go on and kind of see a certain format that it's like, oh, okay, here's all the new releases, here's all this, here's all that. Great. Like now I can go on and easily be able to watch a number of movies for absolutely free. And then the last, of course, I don't know if this is on the Google Play Store anymore, but you can go on to search 123 Movies and eventually find an app that you can download and be able to watch a number of movies also. If not, you can go into a Google search and search the words TV Crush to find that TV Crush had changed its name and its logo to HD Movies 123 Movies, and then you can go on and hopefully download that. And I would recommend every single one of these apps combined, but in time you could also just kind of pick and choose one and eventually find a certain number of things available eventually per these apps. The Fox HD Movies one probably has a lot more available things on it, but it is what it is. So, now that I've said all this, let's just go on into spoilers about this film. I am honestly not going to go into the drastic specifics about the parts of the Land of Luck because, man, there is just a lot of gibberish being said here. We have like luck crystals and all kinds of goofy things, and there is a number of different departments that are to deal with like goofy, almost like toilet humor at some point. And like we have a number of scenarios that end up playing out within this movie. So let's go on into that double five time territory. Let's just go on, of course, into spoiler time. Spoiler time, it's about the time to spoil this movie. So at the very beginning, we of course have a character called Sam who is doing a video from a song of Lucky Star. So we have this girl going on dancing and doing this TikTok video, it seems, or this kind of whatever YouTube video and whichever. And Hazel is going on and, of course, being the director of this behind the camera, and then she jumps in with this leprechaun hat and starts doing the choreography with this girl. All of a sudden, at some point, we have Hazel who wants to go on and eventually leave to grab something, and the set piece all of a sudden crumbles upon Sam, and so Hazel is to desperately want to go on and give Sam a good luck charm, as it seems that Hazel is to go on and collect a number of them. She is to go on and collect like the cat that kind of has her paw kind of rotate back and forth, this origami piece, and just a number of kind of certain lucky pieces that are all in this shoebox. But the one thing that Hazel needs to collect is this lucky penny. So we come to find out that Sam, who is to now be in this Summerland home or orphanage for girls, coming to find out Sam is to age out. She is almost to be 18, And so she's going to get out of this orphanage to then find her own place, get her own job, and kind of leave Hazel behind to hope that she's going to go on and find her forever home. So Sam, of course, is go on and have the worst possible luck. So Sam, of course, is to wake up for her day and have this leaf blower guy every single day make, of course, Sam want to go on and close these windows that, of course, are continuing to pop open, and these leaps keep coming through into her place. So Sam, of course, is to go on and try to wake up to be early for her first day at work. And so Sam, of course, is to go on to try to take a shower, where it seems that she ends up getting locked into her own room by this broom that ends up falling upon her door. And now Sam is to go on and use this tube of toothpaste to raise this broom so she can get out of this room. And eventually, when she twists the knob on her door, all of a sudden the doorknob completely falls off. And so Sam then goes on and is to try to put jam in this toaster, and the jam won't go into the toaster, or the bread won't go into the toaster. Let's try that again. Sam is to go on and try to put toast in this toaster, and so the bread will not go into the toaster. And so Sam tries to go on and make this toast with this jam in it. And what ends up happening is that this bread ends up going flying and smacking on to this wall and starts like flopping and flopping and flopping down to the ground. For those of you who are to go on and never have played or seen that game called I Am Toast, this scene is going to look fairly familiar to you. So we have Sam that goes off to her generic retail store, and so Sam goes off to this location and is to meet with her boss, who of course is actually pause for suspense, Harmon. So we have Sam who meets with Harmon, and it seems that Harmon is trying to figure out what job that Sam will be best at. And so it seems that when she goes on and continues to do these jobs, we have her going on to this step ladder, and eventually she gets caught onto the roof, and eventually she's just kind of hanging on to the roof. And Harmon's like, well, yeah, I guess you're not going to be perfect for this job. And when Sam is to go on and try to unbox these cactus boxes, it seems like she gets the cactus all over her chest. And so Harmon continues to eventually see what Sam is to go on and do here, and is to realize, man, I can't really find a good job or a good fit for her. So Harmon just pushes Sam on to just do cart duty. And I'm like, yeah, how is it that she's going to go on and do cart duty when there is no, like, there isn't a spot for these carts to just go, so they're just all over the place. I can just imagine this girl having to go on and do cart duty while it's, like, winter time in that location. That is always the worst. Because all the time during the winter, people go on and chuck carts all over the place. It's amazing how people during the winter time like take carts and chuck them the longest distance for you to have to go on and retrieve. And people obviously, it seems, do that on purpose. Because and even with a store where it kind of feels like you shouldn't have a cart, people have a cart for things. And it's ridiculous how they just go on and just kind of, like, there's certain times where you'll see, like, a cart of your stores in a number of stores down. Because somebody decided, well, I'm going to go to like 8 different stores within the same location. And so, like, my cart will be like a million miles away. Hence why I think it was the great thing that certain stores eventually had that whole quarter thing, forcing people to have to go on and put their own carts back, so that way they can get their quarter, or otherwise they wouldn't get a cart. So I thought that that was a brilliant idea, whoever thought of that. So now pushing on. So Sam eventually, after her job is to have not gone as well as she hoped because of her really bad luck, we still have Sam who is focusing upon how Hazel was to possibly go on and get this new family to be her forever home. And when Sam goes on and talks to Hazel, Hazel is to mention that the people never came. So Hazel didn't get her forever family. So Sam is to go on and have her meal, and all of a sudden is to see this black cat who is to supposedly be stereotypically unlucky. And so Sam is to go on and be eating this certain sandwich, and it's to see this lonely cat. And so we go on to have Sam, who is to kind of rip off a chunk of her sandwich to give to this cat, and the cat eats it. So Sam, of course, is to rattle off and talk about how, like, Hazel isn't to go on and get her forever family, and how she just feels so bad for her. And then Sam has to go on and back up to eventually tell the cat the whole story, where the cat is just eating the sandwich and is like, I don't care about what she's saying. So when the cat ends up leaving, we again have Sam who needs to go on and find this lucky penny, and so that way she can go on and give this to Hazel, because Hazel again is wanting to have told Sam, like, hey, make sure you go on and try to find a lucky penny, so you can pick it up and all day long you have good luck. So Sam finds this unusual coin that doesn't look like a penny, and it has this shamrock, and on the other end of it, so it's a very unusual coin here. And so eventually what happens is, all of a sudden, Sam is to take this penny, and for one day she is to have miraculously all of the good luck in the world. Sam is to go on and go into the shower, and the shower isn't to break, or like something isn't to horribly happen in the shower, because Sam is to go on and to have tried to brace herself for some horrible thing to happen. We have Sam who, her windows are closing by the time that this leaf blower guy is to come through, and she's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so Sam is to go on to continue to realize that when she goes to her work, she is able to perfectly stack all of these items without really thinking about it, and Harmon is to look at Sam and just be like, wow, like somehow it just took her a day to improve. So Sam eventually is to be tempted to want to give this coin off to Hazel instead of keeping it for herself. And so what happens is, when Sam is to go on and have this coin, she is to actually go to the bathroom and by accident flush it down this toilet. So before Sam goes on, she tries to save the coin, but the coin ends up having to be in this automatic flushing toilet, and so Sam goes on to eventually not be able to retrieve this coin, and is again to be like saddened by the fact that she could not go on and get this coin for Hazel. But then again, we have Sam who makes her way to go on and see this black cat again, and it seems that we find that this black cat is looking for that same coin. Because we come to find out that every one of these pets that go on to go back to the Land of Luck, we have this pet who is to be in desperation to find his lucky coin, because every day he has to go on and retrieve this lucky coin to give this back to this Land of Luck. And so this cat is scrambling to try to find this coin. So eventually we find out that this cat, who can no longer find its coin, is to, of course, be Bob. And so Bob is to go on and take himself to the Land of Luck. And it seems that we go on to have Sam, who follows him there, and we have, of course, Sam, who is starting to talk to Bob, and Bob is like, oh my god, you can't be here, and Sam's like, oh, you can talk, so on and so forth. So Bob is trying to hide Sam away from these other leprechauns who are to go on and ask Bob for his coin, and Bob's like, oh no, I'll go on and I'll send it to them myself, because I need to go back anyways. So Bob eventually takes Sam here to go on and find one of his co-workers' outfits and puts this on Sam here. And so Bob ends up telling everybody, when they end up seeing Sam, that she, of course, is to go on and be this leprechaun from like Latveria or something like that, and that this girl is to be like a taller leprechaun because she is from this unique place. We have Bob, who notices upon this poster some location, so he blabs that out. So we have Sam and we have Bob, and so we go on and have them go to a number of things to go into this Land of Luck facility, but there seems to be a number of different goofy sayings upon like the departments that are to be in all these sections, that everyone is to be at some point responsible for some good luck thing, or some possibly bad luck thing, which all of the bad luck is kind of underneath all of the good luck. It's kind of in the basement or the underground of everything there. So we have Sam and we have Bob, who are to eventually make their way to try and go into certain areas where they can just steal another coin as a temporary replacement. And so we have at one point where Sam is to make her way into this one location to eventually be cleaning all these coins, and she's supposed to hold on to them, but every single time this one suction like tube ends up sucking up all the coins, and eventually it gets to the last coin where Sam is to go on and eventually see this button that she had given Bob as a replacement thing for him to just throw into this machine to make someone think that Bob is to have had this coin. So, come to find out, Bob is to also tell Sam about this dragon that is to be like the head of the good luck, and I think everyone ends up calling her Babe. So the dragon, it seems, is to be able to whiff out good luck, or she's to be able to whiff out bad luck, and to the point where she absolutely needs to have the bad luck be put in its place, or she's gonna go on and like fear the worst. So when Sam goes on to this place where she is to go on and have to clean these coins, all of a sudden it seems that she goes on and starts kicking some of the leprechauns and rocking them off of their seats and so on and so forth. And so all of a sudden they accumulate this chaos that went on in this room to bad luck. And so the dragon is telling them, hey, you guys, like you hazmat guys, you gotta go in there and start wiping everything down and cleaning everything up. I'm sure there's bad luck somewhere. So they don't get a coin then, but so eventually what starts to happen, the longer and longer we go about this, the more we go on and have this captain character played by Whoopi Goldberg, is to, of course, have the captain go on and put out an APB because there was to be a button that was to be substituted as a coin, and that there is a number of cats who are to be suspicious of them going on and substituting this coin, and they need to figure out who it is. So, and Bob, of course, is one of them. So it seems that they go on and they interrogate the two other cats, and it seems that they could have not have gone on and substituted this coin, and so the only one that eventually is left is Bob. But so we have Sam that eventually is going to go on with Bob to meet up with a guy who is to be named Gary. And so Gary comes to find out that Sam is to be like on the like is to be human, is to be like in the real world, because of course Gary's realizing that Sam is wearing his clothes, and so he's like, hey, isn't that my and they go on and they have to admit, it's like, yeah, like this is to be a leprechaun, or this is to be a girl that is to be from another place. And so Gary doesn't believe that story, and he's like, no, like she must be human, and Bob has to confess, yeah, that's what it is. So Gary's plan is that they're gonna want to try to go on and get this luck crystal that is to possibly be placed within this bunny, this kind of like robo bunny, to track down where this coin is on Earth. And it's kind of like that one spot where when Sam goes on and gets her keys to her place, we have Sam who immediately drops her keys and it falls into the sewer. And then these social workers say, it's like, well, luckily I went on and someone told me to give you an extra pair, so how about we just kind of clip this on here so that we don't fall and lose these keys. So Gary is to go on to send this robo bunny out into the real world, and so Bob is to have to break into this one computer room that has a bunch of what are the names here? The typing bunny is what exactly it's called. And so this typing bunny is to eventually be taken away from his computer, because Bob is to chuck this guy's keyboard while he's not looking, to now have this guy have to go and get a replacement one. So Bob, who oddly has this green keyboard that he was able to type in this very long password to open up this portal to go into the land of luck, and have this kind of shamrock like portal that eventually we have Sam who hops into. And so we now see this keyboard again here. We have, of course, now Bob who has this joystick and he's trying to figure out the controls to be able to get this bunny. But the problem is that every other screen is to showcase what Bob is doing, and they can't have that. So Sam all of a sudden makes her way into this room and is to start to go on and sing this Lucky Star song again, and eventually doing this dance and stuff like that, where all of a sudden all of the typing bunnies are to stop whatever they're doing and to dance along with this girl as soon as they figure out the movements. And so all of a sudden Bob is to go on and realize that when this bunny is to dance is to be when the bunny is to find this lucky coin. So the bunny ends up retrieving the lucky coin, making its way back to where Gary is now located. And come to find out, I guess this bunny was in this sewer because we have a bunch of poo that is to be all over this bunny. So Gary is not tempted to want to go on and touch this bunny fairly easily, so he tries to put on some gloves, but then all of a sudden, coincidentally, this bunny ends up getting sucked into this weird goofy portal, or this weird goofy like suction like part of this door, where now Sam and Bob are to need to have to go to the in-between location to figure out where this bunny is now to try to track this down. So we accidentally have Sam and Bob hit the wrong button in this elevator, and instead of Sam going on and hitting the in-between button, she hits the basement level button, which is to actually be the bad luck location. And so it seems that once they get to that location, gravity is different for this bad luck location. And so Sam goes on and is kind of having to walk in parts of this elevator so they won't fall and hurt themselves. So Sam goes on and gets out of the elevator, but then realizes that she had made a mistake getting out of this elevator. And then Bob is to tell Sam, it's like, well, hey, like, for whatever reason, just kind of go back and meet me in the between, and we'll figure this out. So Sam goes on to make her way through this bad luck location, where eventually she is to see these root characters and these goblins and so on and so forth. Like, of course, Bob had mentioned when Sam had asked about it, like, okay, who controls the bad luck part of this world? So eventually what happens is Sam goes on and is to meet this unicorn character who ends up, I think, having this goofy name of him at some point being called Heimdall, as if he's a character from Thor, but it seems that his name is also to be Jeff. Coincidentally, this same guy is Borg, who a lot of people had probably seen him on the second Suicide Squad movie, or eventually he's kind of been in a number of shows now, kind of like The Rookie. He was on The Rookie eventually at some point. Flula Borg. So we have this Jeff character, and so Sam is to go on and talk to this this character, this unicorn, and come to find out Jeff is to have had at some point a relationship with Babe the dragon, and that eventually Jeff at some point was dragging in some bad luck on the day that him and the dragon were together. So come to find out, like, bad luck is be these little beads, these little small little things that at some point Jeff is to have to clean and put back into this machine. And evidently the bad luck is to also be it's really sticks to you. So Jeff tries to go on and eventually is to showcase how, like, this bad luck machine works and so on and so forth. So we go on and eventually have Sam, who has this master plan to eventually, like, well, hey, maybe we can go on and shut off, like, the bad luck temporarily and then turn it back on, so that way, like, we'll have characters like Hazel that'll find her forever home and so on and so forth, and that's their kind of plan. So eventually, when they finally retrieve this lucky coin and then go on to have at some point a bad luck machine breakdown, that all of a sudden we start to realize that this machine is to go haywire and corrupt all of the good luck to make all of the good luck look like bad luck. And so the dragon is desperately going on to try to see if there's any little speck of good luck. Maybe there's a mixture of coins or something like that that she can go on and try to adjust here. And so we go on to have Sam, who is realizing that she would always, like, accuse that like, her bad luck was to go on and be the one thing that always she could blame on. But now she's starting to realize, even in a location like this, that maybe it's just her that is kind of ruining everything, and it's not her bad luck that she can just easily blame it on. Now, like, with this kind of location, like, maybe she really is just, like, that, like, bad. And we get to a point where, of course, come to find out, Bob has had to have a lucky coin saved away for a rainy day, tucked into his collar, so that he can always be a lucky cat, or otherwise he wouldn't. And so we finally have Bob, who is to hand in this extra lucky coin that he ended up finding somehow. And the captain was to go on and tell Bob, it's like, well, hey, like, I knew that there was always something wrong about you, and I feel so horrible now that I never went on and was to eventually do something about it. And that is her biggest regret. So Sam and Bob are to now have to figure out a way how they can make this right. And so it seems at one point when Sam, of course, was going on and going through the location of all of the bad luck, she started to realize that there was this kind of unusually glowing green thing that may potentially be the one good luck thing out of all the bad in the bad luck area. So Sam and Bob go to the bad luck location and come to find out Bob is to have been at this bar for a very long stretch of time, that he had his own, like, seat, and they retired the seat, and they had his portrait on top of it saying Bob, and so on and so forth. This guy has been here for so long. So we have this bartender named Rudy, who eventually is to come to find out that there is this game that these guys have all played, and it is to be like this good luck shot, because for all these guys who are dealing with bad luck all day, it's nice to have this one little shred of good luck that is to be like whatever they can do, they can just have this one game that is to always have them be able to get this shot in this kind of goofy game no matter what. So we go on to have Sam going on and taking this luck from this machine, and so what ends up happening is Rudy is mentioned to Sam that there is always to be a strategy around you having good luck, and there is always to be an optimistic part even about you having bad luck in a situation, and you can turn it around. And Sam's like, well, I never thought about it that way. Because at one point we have the guys who go on to eventually pop their ball for this one game, and then they realize, well, wait a minute, now we can turn around and have this this ball that is now flat become this frisbee, and we can play a game like that. And Sam is like, wow, these guys are just adaptable to whatever is to kind of go horribly their way. So Sam wants to just be like, wow, that's a great idea. So we go on and we bring, of course, Sam and Bob with Jeff to make their way back to Babe the Dragon, to eventually give her the bad luck and the good luck. So the dragon now has to go on and burn away into making these certain good luck, bad luck things into these balls. And so it seems that the dragon is to go on and make too many good luck balls compared to the bad luck. And we have Sam who's like, wait a minute, like, you didn't even it out. And Babe is like, well, no, like, I want to get rid of bad luck permanently, and I only want to put good luck in there. And so we all of a sudden start to shift and see that Babe is to now technically be the temporary villain of this story that she doesn't understand. And so all of a sudden Sam is to go after the dragon and trying to eventually try to even things out. And so Sam goes on and does so. And we then go on to eventually have Sam realize by the end of all of this that she appreciated every bit of bad luck that she was given to anybody, any number of times that she was to have these bad issues or problems and whatever, and there was to a person be like, oh yeah, I was responsible for that, ha 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 ha. So Sam is to make her way into the bad luck location where they're having this kind of these drinks and so on and so forth. And we have this last bit of party where we go on and have all even the good luck that are to make their way into the bad luck area to just be like, hey, let's go on and let's drink, let's have a party. And like that's the way they kind of like happy end this out, to eventually have Bob realize that instead of him being a part of the good luck, bad luck thing, he's going to turn around and go on and live with Sam in the real world. And Sam and Bob hug it out. And so now Bob and Sam are living together. And we have Hazel, who is to have found her family after all. And it seems that at some point Sam is to go on and have Hazel at some points come to her place, where they can kind of have sleepovers and stuff like that, and be able to kind of spend time together. And yeah, even though the bad luck is to be what it is, we then go on and also have Sam, who eventually is to work her way up to become manager of her store, where Harmon is to realize that this girl is to have bagged all this stuff up, but then she ends up picking up the bag and everything breaks through the bag. So Harmon's like, hey, I got it, manager. And so we go on to have Sam go on and finish things up and wrap things up and have a nice ending to her story, so on and so forth, yada yada yada. So with that said, I'm gonna go on and get out of here. So goodbye everybody. Goodbye everybody.